on. Thanks for coming, everyone. We have a short meeting tonight. Can you do the roll call?
Sure. Mr. Silva,
Here.
Mr. Guy,
Here.
Ms. Burke,
Here.
Mr. Evans,
Here.
Mr. Edwards. Mr. Edwards is not here, and Mr. Weiner and Mr. Winterhalter had already let me know they would be missing the meeting tonight.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
I will do a short moment of silence and pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Everyone has the agenda. Anyone have any comments on that?
Looks good to me.
On the minutes, did you have any comments from anybody, Heather?
No, I did not.
Did someone want to make a motion on the minutes from July 28th?
I wasn't at the meeting, so I guess I can't.
Make a motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. Minutes are approved. And then we start off with 311 Sawmill, and then Garrett Williamson pulled off. We'll see them, I guess, next month.
Good evening.
I think we can start with sheet 2. It's a 12-acre property. I think it's part of the crossing floor. As remnants of silos. It's founded on the east side. Northeast corner. Thomas Run bisect. What's it's a very, a lot of ways, beautiful property. Okay.
Can you point out where Skunk Hollow Park is, just to kind of get a.
Does it work?
Well, wouldn't it be right here, like Radnor Township?
Is it that whole strip or?
Yeah, the whole strip is all Skunk Hollow.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's on the, noted on the plan.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was a whole. Okay.
Yep.
Never mind. Carry on.
So where do I go sledding? Where's the section where I take my kids sledding on Skunk Hollow? Is that like right here?
Should be recorded on the plan.
I don't want that mess with.
Yeah. So, it has some floodplain issues as floodplain in that northeast corner. It's a delineated floodplain from Darby Creek. And then there's an approximate floodplain that goes through the center of the property for Thomas Run. Both those areas have some very steep slopes along that floodplain. Then there's some steep slopes in other parts of the property. Thomas Run has a lot of wetlands that are associated with it. They're all mapped out on the drawings. So it's 12 acres, it's zoned R1. It, could conceivably be developed with a much more intensely than I think that we're proposing. But Tom Pereira is here with me tonight. He actually lives in the farmhouse now and hopes to build the house that would be situated on the rear lot on, I believe it's lot 2, I guess.
Which lot, 1 or 2? 2?
So I guess we can switch over to that sheet 1 anyway. Yeah, Tom's looking to develop, to live in lot 2, develop that, and develop lot 1 and 3 for sale. We propose a common driveway that lot 1 and 2 would share up to a point beyond that existing culvert. In part to avoid disturbing those very steep slopes and the floodplain of Thomas Run and the wetlands, we would have to cross. It's something it would be permitted. It would take, a fair amount of permitting to get approval to do it, but it's something that would be approvable if we had to do it, but it seemed to be smart to at least try and see if this could get approved as a common driveway going back to those 2 rear lots.
We'll have to rebuild the whole bridge, I assume, given Carl Keene's letter.
The culvert, yeah, the culvert's not in great shape, so yeah, it definitely would have to be upgraded. So, Tom's heard from the neighbors, it backs up and floods also, so it probably structurally is inadequate, but also probably has to increase in size.
You also write here that should be structural fill. So that within the channel, I assume. So did you try to talk to DEP about it already or not yet?
No, it's an existing culvert, so the bridge is 236-inch polyethylene pipes. And it's got an embankment that's maybe up about 8 feet above the stream bed. So it's already been filled and it's creating backwater effect during some pretty good, heavy storms. It's caused backwater to go upstream. So the idea would be both to put in something that's more structurally adequate, but also a larger waterway opening to reduce that flooding that's occurring from the backwater effect. We wouldn't be putting any fill higher than that existing embankment. There'd be no need to do that.
Will you, because of that fill, will you restrict the channel in any way?
Now the channels, the restriction's already there. So
You will not add to the
So
restriction?
we would not add to it, and the waterway opening enlargement would hopefully, significantly reduce that backwater effect. But yeah, that's something that has to be a DEP permit, so that's something we'll.
So as a result of the project, it should be improved
Yes,
as a result.
yes,
Got it.
most definitely. So we took the time, because the way the ordinance is written, to delineate the areas that are excluded out of the lot areas. Lot 1 and 2 are over 3 acres, so the steep slopes don't get excluded, but the wetlands and the floodplains do. Lot 3 was just under 3 acres, and it's, that's the smallest one. But you can see they especially lots 1 and 2 greatly exceed the 60,000 square foot zoning requirement for R1. The thought is to put in public water and sewer to all 3 lots. There's, both are available in Sawmill Road. But we're just at the sketch plan phase, so we didn't show all the utility connections. Lots 1 and 2 would probably be a common within that easement area and cross the creek with the culvert. All those utilities, and then lot 3 would just be right in from Sawmill Road.
Just for my own thoughts here, the way the scale of the property is going, the height is up here running this way into the Thomas Run, right? So the water's running into the run, flowing to the right,
Radnor, yes.
into the Radnor, down into Skunk Hollow.
And in Sawmill Road also slopes down
That
back
way.
towards Thomas Run. So
Right, so it's coming like this.
It's a valley. It's a valley. So that was one of the challenges that we did try and put in that third driveway back to, say, lot 2.
Yeah.
We'd have to go down the valley, cross the creek and up a very steep slope section to get back to that lot. So that would require a lot of grading and fill, and be a lot of tree removal, a lot of disturbance.
Okay.
On lot 1, just kind of looking at that driveway going into the very steep slopes, is there a reason you can't just shift everything down? It would get that driveway out of the very, I assume that's very steep slopes. I'm looking at the shading.
Those slopes are the steep slopes, so they're just over
That's just-
15%. And the idea there is trying, because and Tom has some homes here, but he's looking to build homes similar to what's being done at Androssen. So he's talked to that architect, so they're large homes.
What's the footprint? 3,000 feet probably?
Yeah, that's kind of what's illustrated here, but Tom has some work status. That's
Right. It's not more than 3,000 feet.
Yeah, right.
Now, this appears to be the garage level, appears to be at the first floor level, more or less. And I wonder, because of the topography of lots 1 and 2 in particular, especially lot 1, if it wouldn't be easier to flip it so that you come with the garage at the lower side. If you do that, you may not necessarily get into the steep slopes.
Right, cut right by where the existing house is.
That is fine. It's usually easier if the garage level is lower than, the higher levels of the house itself. Up to you.
Yeah, I agree that I grew up in a house that had a basement garage. That would work out well on that lot. It's just, I don't know whether that's a product that people nowadays look for. But that's down the road. So I figured, let me illustrate that. It's the driveway within the steep slope areas is something that's more allowable than putting house there.
I'd venture to guess also that if this is the front door, right?
Yeah,
If you flip the house, you're looking this way, you're looking at the front door of somebody else's house, so you probably don't want to.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you flip the house, then you got 2 front doors, and if you can get the privacy by having them look this way, you're not looking at somebody.
It's a design of the house.
Fair,
Yeah.
It's challenging. And the area at the top, there's a lot of area up there. We even looked at, maybe we could try and do something up there, but again, that just creates a lot of additional disturbance. And put you right up against the properties that are on paper.
right. Okay,
I mean, you still have a large buildable area. I mean, it's probably I'll bet those are at least 4,000 footprints. Yeah, if you just kind of rotate. So anyways, I mean, we're in the sketch plan. I mean, it just seems,
Yeah, and that could be eliminated with some walls. We can stay out of the steep slopes with maybe some walls and rotating it. You're right. Just working out the grading with the architect would be the tricky part.
and then you got Carl Keene's letter, you got Rockwell's letter on the landscaping.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you know, you're not at the stage where those, so just making
Right,
sure
and
you've gotten everything.
we had, so that was good to get that, and we'll have an arborist go through there. We suspect there's a lot of ash trees there that need to come out anyway, but we'll have an arborist go through and work on identifying the trees.
Hey, Eric, are you gonna look at the flag lot concept? I mean, maybe you want to propose it now that everyone's here and it's in the meeting. To address, you know, the possible zoning relief you need.
Right, so we're looking for an interpretation on lot 1 to have, because the subdivision ordinance seems to have a different definition of what the lot frontage is. It's measured back at the flag, beyond the flag, which we would be far exceed the 175 feet. But, you know, the zoning ordinance doesn't appear to be consistent, so we'll look for an interpretation. It looks like we may have to go to zoning just to have a shared common driveway based on letter 2, so.
I see nothing. In my interpretation, as zoning officer is.
And so you,
District, it specifically says. Does not reference, we don't even have a definition of.
Yeah.
Although subdivision does. But zoning is. And it does not.
So
In
if
fact, I
you,
look further into section 172.110, it speaks to irregular lot frontages, thinking maybe that would grant some relief, but it speaks to cul-de-sacs.
so if you
So
need
that's
to
not
go
what-
if you need to go to zoning hearing board, just go for variance on this.
Yeah,
Right.
that looks like that might be our next step. And I did the same thing. I went through the entire zoning ordinance. And the definition does say frontage along a street, so it did. Does, I do tend to agree we should probably do that.
When we do our zoning rewrite, we'll make sure we try to.
Clean that up.
Now's the time.
Yeah. now's the time.
I think that's probably all I have tonight. I don't know if there's any other
Do we have any,
questions.
those just really long driveways or anything we need to address for that? I mean, they could be,
So, I mean, obviously, our fire marshal is going to be, he made reference to the
The
width
width, yeah.
and the design of the road with load capacities across that bridge for fire access. I don't necessarily think there's anything in our zoning code that speaks to the length of a driveway. I do think that we'll all be interested to see the approach in and out of those driveways, especially the one with the common drive, if that's approved.
Well, Carl
Simply
will,
for vehicle, you know, the fire apparatus approach to it.
Well, to that end, actually, the Saldo does actually have specific requirements for the connection of the road going down the driveway, which we can work through.
it's a turn also, that Carl will certainly point it out. Turning,
Right.
yeah, they gotta get the fire truck out once they get in.
no, it stays there.
Right.
Anyone else have, I mean, is there any public comment? So do we need to have them, so is this started our clock officially? Or they're gonna go away and go to zoning and, you know, they'll
I think
be,
a sketch plan.
A sketch plan.
Yeah.
I think it's based on conflict.
okay, I just want to make sure we're
This is just the opportunity for ideas and comments and,
Right,
and just to
yeah.
vet out vet these ideas out.
That's, yeah, there's not a lot of pieces of ground like that left in the township.
Yeah.
And we're,
Tom has met with his neighbor that abuts him to the west. So
On Paper
where the-
Mill?
Where the long driveway is, and he's comfortable with all that. with
So
his
what
plan.
about the adjacent lots? Do they have the same conditions, sort of?
As you go up to the west, yeah, there's a lot of houses that are set back that have culverts along Sawmill.
Yeah,
with
they all have
relatively
to
long
cross it.
driveways.
You mean Thomas Run?
Right.
Yeah.
So I assume they also have long driveways over the culverts and all that, right?
Yes, it's maybe not as long as that one, but yes, they're long driveways.
and do we have any responsibility to Radnor? I know when the Delaware County Christian School was in, we had a good populace from Radnor, including like a council person or supervisor. Any kind of notice that we would typically do?
I mean, I know notice was sent to all the Newtown residents within 500 feet.
Radnor, anything within 5.
Okay.
So if they fall within that 500-foot radius, we got notice. If not,
Yeah, I just, yeah, if we're required to, I want to make sure we do it, but I don't want to stir the pot if it's not necessary.
Unnecessarily.
Yeah. And weren't happy on the Delaware County Christian School.
I think there was just one thing on the plan. I saw as part of the township's like trail master plan that shows the trail running along the frontage there. And it even calls out like a trailhead there. I noticed on your plan, they said that you would potentially be agreeable to some kind of trail easement. Is that just because of that plan, or is there any specific more details played out on that?
No, just we were aware that,
Okay.
no, that's a possibility.
That the trail's in the frontage there and the park next to it there.
So that also remind me in Andy's letter, it mentioned the township ordinance concerning curb and sidewalk. And I guess it probably wouldn't be a bad time to talk about it now. I'm not aware of going along that side of Sawmill, any curb and sidewalk, but I'm not sure what the board's.
We've been generally putting them in and, we'll catch up. Going back at some later date with 3 separate property owners is not something I think the township wants to do, when they've been there for 4 years, 6 years, or whatever, without sidewalks. So, I guess I would plan for it. And, we can discuss it some more, and, the supervisor will weigh in on it, but pretty much everyone's wanted to kind of follow that plan. There may not be.
Is there a way to, I mean, because the personal opinion is that, the road to nowhere, the sidewalk to nowhere,
It's like the sidewalk at Porsche.
correct, and it looks
Yeah.
stupid.
No, I understand. I think the town,
Now, does Porsche put money in escrow at a discounted rate to some kind that's held by the township to deal with eventual sidewalks? Maybe that's something in lieu of building the sidewalk. Maybe there's some kind of escrow account to hold funds.
or even the trail concept.
Well, I was saying,
Yeah, right.
I wouldn't want to see you handicap yourself, given that your trail plan, you call for a trail along this road. So let's not,
Okay,
right, yeah.
okay.
yeah, I
So
mean,
even if it's not sidewalk now, maybe it's some planning for the future, but if it's called for, and here's a development that's occurring along the stretch of it.
Okay.
yeah, I'm fine with that. Like at the condos where we have an easement to cut through from Bryn Mawr Ave all the way over to 252, it's already in the property.
Yeah.
The easement's there, and we don't have to ask for it, we don't have to take it.
Yeah.
So, something like that, if the supervisor okay with, I'd be okay with that.
I think the main issue is money. If it is an escrow, or if there is a decision to pay in lieu for some bigger plan.
trail
bigger
issue or
purpose.
something.
Because, yes, as you mentioned, this is, no other sidewalks and curbs. Maybe we don't just want to stick one in to the
Right.
isolate.
Right,
So
And maybe
we
the
can use
trail's a
money
little
for
wider
better
and,
purpose.
or,
yeah.
you know,
And the curbing may be a discussion with what effects there may be negative effects to curbing in regards to stormwater.
Water runoff.
right, because if the rest of the neighborhood's not curbed, it's just gonna,
Isolate them away from the problem, but make it somebody else's
yeah, make it
problem.
someone else's worse. So, yeah,
Just make a note to, to some degree
Yeah.
to, we'll think through that issue as you guys move forward.
I mean, as you look at the slopes, we've just kind of said this is, where would the water flow if you put a curb up? If you could answer that, since you're the one that's going to be looking at,
It's gonna go, it'll be contained within the property, so. that-
no, but if you put a curb
No,
up,
on the
anything on the street,
Yeah.
it's not going on the property anymore, it's
There-
going
there's
somewhere.
It
there's a
means that
low-
you need,
There's a low point in front of lot 3, and there's a storm sewer there, so it would collect there. So it's not gonna create a big nuisance. But the sidewalk's a bigger issue because the steep slopes that drop off, at the edge of the road there. So sidewalks would require a lot of steep slope disturbance.
now, will Sawmill Road itself require any improvement? This location.
Not that I think it would,
Are you asking
For
the condition
example-
of the road? Is that what your question is?
Yeah.
the road's in pretty good shape paving wise.
Along the stretch here.
Yeah, so I think also like we talked about at that meeting. Yeah, beautiful property, it's next to Palo, which kind of really was. Big 10-acre lot. We're trying to like. Trail for walking. Right now. Away from the wetland. Parkish.
Mm-hmm. I'm personally speaking, I'm inclined that sidewalks don't really fit it, but the trail, if there's access for the trails, Eric, and that's properly set up as you're referencing, I think that somewhere we can get to an agreement there.
Right.
We're okay.
And I think the way the code is written, it kind of leaves it up to discretion for, when the supervisor make a decision on that.
Yeah.
How, if you've ever been back, there's not like a Goshen Trail where there's buildings, it's a rugged dog walking trail.
And then, is you live in Lister, does that trail seem narrow? I thought I had heard people thought it was narrow. We approved it.
Trail along 252.
Yeah,
If you only have people walking on it, it's probably all right. If anybody thinks they're going to ride a bicycle while someone's walking on it,
Jams
it's
it up.
not really wide enough to do that.
and it's
My-
paved, right?
It's all
It's
paved,
asphalt.
yes, asphalt.
Then you have the other trail along Goshen Road, which, yeah, it's narrow, but parts of it, I think, not everything is paved, but I think it's.
So gravel kind of.
Yeah, it's a good way to have it.
It's a nice, I walk it,
Yeah.
that's nicely done. That's not a sidewalk.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
as a trail, it's nice. I think it's nicer than the one along 252.
Wider, it's definitely wider.
But also, yeah, we are comparing this to this property, Stancolo, which is not flat as 252, and
Right.
so it may fit something.
Well, I guess, I would sort of give some thought to how the trail might look and what its configuration would be, and, there's probably some support for that, and, are there any trails immediately surrounding the lots? Or probably not.
So is there a trail plan for that section? County trail plan?
Or, a
Township.
comprehensive
The
plan?
township
Probably
has the comprehensive trail and sidewalk network plan, and that's identified as one of the sections is along Sawmill Road.
Okay, so it falls in within that plan.
Correct.
And it's not a good place to walk. Just given the,
Sawmill?
yeah.
No.
Given the speed people drive and how narrow it is, and
Was about connected to connected
Mhm.
part of the goal.
Mhm.
right. Well, kind of work on that. Again, I think there's probably support for some kind of trail. And again, I don't think anyone wants to go back, is in a hurry to go to the other lots nearby and say, oh, by the way, we want to take this and have people walk through your front yard. That's not a fun conversation. You have anything else or anybody?
No.
Thanks for coming in. I guess we'll see you in a month or two, or.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
So we don't have any additional business. So do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Second.
all in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye, aye, Captain.
All opposed, say nay. For coming.
So one thing I'd like to say